Some schools may want to research their school grounds and increase the biodiversity of their school grounds. Schools happen to be wildlife havens in the community these days. They have various habitats. They have got grasslands, they have hedgerows, they have woodlands, and if they're very lucky, they may have a wetland. And if they don't have a wetland, you may plan to have one. What you need in the first instance to do a survey is, of course, you need a map of the school grounds. You need a pen and some paper to take notes, because eventually you will be writing a report like this. And this is the report that you will probably present to governors or parents or the other teachers in the school to say, this is what we've planned, and so that everybody is communicated with and involved. Because the biggest thing is to involve children in helping their own environments. When you're in the woodland area, you may want to put up some nest boxes for birds, and you will have to assess whether there will be enough food for the young ones to eat. That means whether there are enough trees, oak trees and other trees, to produce caterpillars for the young ones. And so you'll say there will be a certain amount of nest boxes that you'll put in the school grounds. Because you may want to put a feeding station as well, but the feeding station must not be near the nest boxes.
If your school has grassland and playing fields, as part of a grass cutting regime, it's often the case that we find that pesticides are used around the perimeter by hedges and fences, and this obviously destroys all the wildlife at the edge, which is unfortunately no good for invertebrates, insects and so on, and pollinators, but also knock-on effect for things like birds and small mammals. We find that if you cut out the use of pesticides at the perimeter, then this will allow the wildlife to come back. You only need to leave about 1 metre or 1.5 metres clearance at the side of the hedge to be fruitful. Further down the line, you may then wish to plant wildflower seeds and help invertebrates even further, and also get great pleasure by looking at the beauty of the wonderful wildflowers that you've sown.
So you may want to place hedgehog boxes and bee boxes, and you may want to use the woodland edges for that. And I'm going to ask Graham if he would explain what hedgehogs actually need in the school ground and why they're needed.
Yes, well, we know it's a school and that you need somewhere to run around and play football, but as well as all the nice grassy areas, it's lovely if you can have a really rough area like the one over there, with brambles and grass growing as high as it wants, any wild plant that needs to come. This is ideal for hedgehogs, somewhere for them to crawl between the plants, and they will find lots and lots of insects which wouldn't exist anywhere else. You can see at the back of that area is a fence, and this is very important that hedgehogs can have passage from one place to another. They need a really big territory, and they can't have that if it's broken up by fences, and schools tend to be surrounded by fences. But if they could have a little gap just now and then, just big enough for a hedgehog at the bottom of the fence here and there, then they can progress from one area to another, and they can come into the school grounds, they can get out again, and it may be a case of just cutting a little piece off the plank of wood now and then, or even just digging a small hole underneath. If you can get permission for that, then the hedgehog's territory can go from a little small bit of woody area into the whole estate, or the whole area around the school, from one garden to another.
So having studied the woodland area, the grassland area and the wet areas, and having planned for some hedgehog boxes, some bee boxes and some bird boxes, we can write down our report and say where they're going to go and map them down, and then we can we can talk to the governors about it and plan out our school grounds in favour of wildlife. And it is important that invertebrates are encouraged, and it may be that the school would like the children to build insect hotels, because they can get involved in helping spiders and other invertebrates to develop. So I hope that's been helpful.